Welcome to Cocoa Maker Episode 3. I'm here with Eduardo, Martin, John, and Garrett, and we're going to be teaching you the basics of Cocoa. This week, we're going to be talking about the documentation. To get to the main documentation set, you go to the Help menu, and then you go to Developer Documentation. Inside the Developer Documentation, you get this Quick Start screen, which I say is not useful at all. But it does give you a few videos on how to read it. I'm going to try and explain it a little bit better than what they explained it as. To start off, if you want to learn Objective-C in an extent that I haven't taught yet, but I will teach eventually, you go to the home button and you choose Mac OS X 10.6 core library. You can also learn how to use xcode and how to write inside of the iPhone OS. Inside of here, you get the Getting Started screen with the Mac OS X Technology Overview Cocoa Application Tutorial, which will give you a tutorial on how to write a Cocoa application. I believe that their example is a calculation application for calculating the currency exchange like I taught last week. And learning Objective-C, I believe that teaches you from the C standpoint, if you already know how to write in C, how to write in Objective-C. That's where I learned how to write Objective-C, because I already learned C a long time ago with my old 33 megahertz computer. If you wanted to find information on a class, such as in its workspace, you just search inside the search box. It'll search throughout all the documentation and finds everything about in its workspace and display it inside of this panel, side panel right here. In the full text search, it displays different sample code and what it found inside the sample code. The documentations on tech notes and stuff like that. And up at the API level, you see the class for NS Workspace and the information on it. And that's what we need to look at. So we're going to double click on that to bring it full screen. And here's the reference on NS Workspace, the class. Inside of here, it says what it inherits from, the super object that it's going to use to base it off of, which is NS object. You can click on here and see information on NS object, what the different things it can do. And also down here, it shows what it confirms to, the protocol that it confirms to. Down below, it shows which framework it's in, which it says is inside of AppKit, which is a Cocoa framework. And below, it says when it was introduced into the Mac OS X platform, which it says Mac OS X 10.0. Down below, it says a companion guide, which I'm guessing it teaches, has information on how to program with it. And below is declared in, which says it's inside of nsrunningapplication.h and nsworkspace.h. Below that is a whole bunch of sample code which you can view information on. So let's go ahead and click on iChat status from application, which is a sample code, and you would get this page about it, which gives you a description on what it does and allows you to view the source code of different files in it. Here's the header. And if you wanted to, you can open it in Xcode and view it. So you just choose a folder to save it in. It'll download it, open the project, and allow you to build and run it, or edit it, or whatever you need. And inside the main menu.nib, you see the window, the menu, and everything else for that application that is in this sample code. I'm going to go ahead and close this all off and bring you back into the documentation. Going back to the NS Workspace documentation, you would see an overview of what what NS Workspace does, which tells you like the basic things you can do with it, like launching applications and setting Finder information for files and all that stuff, and opening files, so on and so forth. And down here you see that NS Workspace is a shared object or a singleton object. Down below you can see how you can get the notification center, the open file. You can open files with it, open files with a certain application, open file from an image at view, and so on so forth. It's very simple to read and understand, and like if you wanted to find out how to launch an application, you just click on it, and you see here that it returns a Boolean, which means yes or no, of the success of launching an application, which has an init string with the name of the application. From what you see here, you can just go into a program and just make a shared instance of NS Workspace and launch the application with the name of whatever you want. Down below you can see parameters, which is application name, and it says a description on what the application name is. A return value which says basically what it does, if it's successful or not, and a discussion on how the method works. That's the basic of the documentation, which is very simple and easy to go around. And that's how documentations work. You can go ahead and add a bookmark to this page, and it would have a bookmark for the NS Workspace class if you ever need to access it a whole bunch of times without typing it in. You just click there and it brings it up. And then I can go back and teach you another way to access the documentation. Inside the objects example code that I made last week, we're going to open objects.m, and inside here you can see NS auto release pool. Let's say you want to learn more about that. You hold down the Option key while you double click it, and it will pop up this little window here that shows you information on NS auto release pool. You get sample code of where it's used in, and you get related documents on it. Tells you which OS is available on, and all that information you need to know. And if you wanted to see the header file, you just click the header file button, and here's the header file for NS auto release pool. If you click on the books button, it'll pop up the documentation on NS auto release pool, where you can view more information on it. Now let's say that you have an object that you wrote inside of here. What would happen if you double click on it? Well, it pops up the same window, but it has, instead of the documentation for it, it has click here to view symbol. You click on that and you see the implementation that I wrote for MGM calculation. Now let's see what it does whenever you option double click on a method. It pops up a declaration for it and what it does. Basically, it says right here that it's inside of NS object class. Basically what you see here is it says that it initializes an object and returns it, which you see that I'm doing right here. I'm initializing the object by setting amount to 0 and currency exchange to 0, and telling this object do its thing with initializing the object as well. You can access the man pages by the help menu and the open man page menu item. Inside the open man page dialog, you can open a man page for any command line utility that has man pages, Or you can open the man page for different functions. Like there's the nice function and all that stuff that you can view. To open a command line man page, you just type in the name, like dig. It pops up, and you can see dig is the DNS lookup utility. Down below, you can see all the different information about it. At the bottom, you see different command line tools and functions that also have to do with this man page, like the named command, which is a domain name server. And that was Cocoa Maker episode 3. I'm James.
I'm Eduardo.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Martin.
I'm John.
Have a nice day and enjoy making cocoa.